A video game plot twist that kind of really blew my mind. I'm actually going to have to go and take a traumatic deep cut here and go all the way back to 2009 when we're all really excited for the release of Modern Warfare 2. Now, obviously, Call of Duty World at War had just come out the previous year. One of my personal favourites, but I could tell, everyone at the time really wanted to go back and see what Infinity Ward were cooking up because Modern Warfare was such, at the time was such a, it was such a watershed moment in the first-person shooter genre. I was looking forward to the game. Started playing, I thought it was just fine. It was, it's the classic Michael Bay bollocks we all kind of want from Call of Duty. Everyone's there with their really dodgy military accents, and there's this General Shepard character who kind of epitomizes the cliched, grizzled military veteran stereotype. He's got a mad mustache, and he also has a big sodding 44 Magnum, and he's really, really cool. And you kind of just look at that character and like, okay, I'm here for just generic badass man. That's cool. That's pretty much what every Call of Duty character is on some level or another. And as we get further and further into the game, the stakes get raised more and more. We have World War III kicking off. Everything's going to absolute hell. And then General Shepard does something really bad that kind of breaks everyone's hearts. And I'm not quite sure why, because the only reason why we're sad is because he's killed a voiceless protagonist who we play as, and a guy who's only loved because he has a skull mask thing. But I digress, whatever, it is quite sad. It did rip my heart and show it to me before I died. And so basically General Shepard sends Roach and Ghost all the way to this safe house, and then basically betrays them because he wants to be a mad war hero. He wants to avenge all the US Marines that died in the events of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And it was a great moment for me because I never expected Call of Duty to actually go that level. And the best thing about it is that Shepard, I talked about Michael Bay earlier on. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Shepard is like the antithesis of Ed Harris's character in that film, because what Harris's character does in The Rock is, his whole thing is that he takes these people hostage and threatens to chuck chemical weapons all over, San Francisco, to basically get the US government to acknowledge all the soldiers who have died on wet work and black operations, whereas Shepard, he does this because he wants to be the ultimate hero. He's the personification of jingoism. And I never really expected Call of Duty to go that far, or to actually, broach that topic. I don't think it really has been that brave since, even though, the stories for Black Ops, it's good. I appreciate what they do in Modern Warfare, for instance, or at least gameplay-wise. I think the story kind of botched a few things. But yeah, no, General Shepard, I think, is a really good character, and that final act is great. And the plot twist itself kind of caught me off guard because it wasn't what I was expecting from Call of Duty, and I thought it was a great twist. And yeah, so that's it. General Shepard being the secret villain in Modern Warfare 2. Great twist. Really like it. Just kind of blew my mind because I wasn't expecting that from Call of Duty. Really good.
So, a video game plot twist that really blew my mind. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this coming from me, so obviously, the video game plot twist that really blew my mind was the betrayal of Wheatley. That's right, the betrayal of that little robot orb played by Stephen Merchant himself. It was just such a shock because he's such a lovable character, and obviously Stephen Merchant does such a brilliant job of voicing him and making him so lovable and trusting. And you play through the first game, GLaDOS is bad. You play through the second game, GLaDOS is bad. And so for it to all of a sudden have this switcheroo on you, in which it's like, oh, actually, Wheatley is this evil being, and he just kind of had to be able to get into that power of power. He had to kind of get into the position of power to be able to kind of unleash this evilness. It was just such a twist on its head, but it was so brilliant to watch Stephen Merchant still be so lovable but so evil at the same time. He does a brilliant job, and yeah, it just was not a twist that I saw coming, and having to then work with GLaDOS as like an ally it was brilliant. It was just such a brilliant plot twist I just didn't see coming. I remember getting to that level and just being like, brilliant, well done, Wheatley, we did it, good team, we finally got GLaDOS down. And then no, turns around, becomes completely evil, and yeah, and then there's a big whole another chunk of the game when I thought it was going to be finished. So yeah, it was a brilliant game, brilliant twist, and yeah, I don't think that they could have picked a better twist for that game. Honestly, it was fantastic, and something that I'll remember forever. Good old Stephen Merchant Wheatley. Brilliant.
The video game plot twist that blew my mind is very recent, so if you do not want Half-Life Alyx spoiling for you, I'd recommend skipping me. If you're in a position where you'll be in a position to play the game and experience the ending for yourself, I highly recommend doing that instead of listening to me. So, have you gone? Cool. So, Valve said that you need to know Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2 to understand what happens in Half-Life Alyx, which seemed kind of strange since Alyx takes place in between 1 and 2. So with that information, we knew that something was going to happen at the end of Half-Life Alyx, and lo and behold, it does. It turns out that in the vault, which is a big old sort of Combine building floating above the quarantine zone in City 17, is apparently holding Gordon Freeman, but in reality it's holding the G-Man, another survivor of the Black Mesa incident. That was what was known about this person, and everyone just assumed it'd be Gordon. But it wasn't, it was G-Man. And in return for releasing him, the G-Man offers Alyx a little nudge. It's something he has the ability to do, because he's some kind of ethereal being. And Alyx initially says, I want the Combine off Earth, and he's like, yeah, that's a bit much. Actually, I'm going to give you something that you don't realise you want yet. And we jump forward in time to the hangar at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, where Eli is lying dead in Alyx's arms, having been murdered by a Combine advisor. The G-Man gives Alyx the ability to shuffle time back a little bit more and kill the Combine advisor that's about to kill her father. And because up to this point, similar to what happens at the end of Half-Life 2 when your gravity gun gets all souped up, you kind of do the same with Alyx, where your gravity gloves get souped up and you're firing like energy balls at the Combine and stuff. You get the energy back in your gloves and you like zap this Combine advisor, you kill it dead, and your dad survives. And Alyx unwittingly is now hired by the G-Man, similar to what happens at the end of Half-Life 1 to Gordon. And after the credits have rolled, we skip forward to the end of Episode 2, like not as a vision like we'd just seen, as in we literally go as the player to the end of Episode 2, and we're stood where Gordon was standing. You look at your hands, you're not wearing the Alyx gloves, sorry, the Russells. You have Gordon's like black gloves from the HEV suits, and Alyx is gone. The G-Man is walking along a catwalk, and Dog jumps down, gives Eli a crowbar, and Eli gives the crowbar to you and says, come on, Gordon, we've got work to do. So, not only did they change the future, or change the future for Alyx, change the past for us, because obviously it was 13 years ago that game released, with the fact that Eli survived, and now Alyx is gone. Alyx has been taken by the G-Man at the end of Episode 2. It nigh on confirms that Half-Life 3 is happening, because Half-Life Alyx has reopened the door to the Half-Life series. Like, not only in the fact that it's the first Half-Life game in 12, 13 years, but also the fact that it ends where Episode 2 ended. So that was huge. And like I said, as much as I was expecting it, because they said you need to know Episode 2, it still didn't stop me filling my Oculus Rift with just tears, just bawling my eyes out at the fact that that happened. As I said on last week's chatty, thank you, Internet, for actually keeping it quiet. I know I've just talked about it myself, but I gave you enough warning. But otherwise, the Internet kept it quiet. I think even they knew how important this ending would be.
So for mind-blowing plot twists, my mind always goes to the very end of Arkham City. Obviously full-on spoilers for what happens in that game, but back then, you know, Rocksteady were just flying so high. Arkham Asylum is still one of my favourite games of all time, and Arkham City, for as much as I was not massively on board with the whole open world, you know, staggering the chunks that made Asylum great across an open world thing, I thought that Mark Hamill's Joker just knocked it out the park. I still think that he won the first video game voice actor BAFTA for that performance, but either way, his version of Joker is just great. And back then, that was before Arkham Knight, you know, like that series was just the absolute pinnacle of superhero video games. And coming into the end of Arkham City, it was like, how the hell are they going to top the end of Asylum? And that section where, you know, all you're trying to do is get the cure for the Joker toxin thing so that you can try and save Joker, because he's been coughing and spluttering for that entire game. And you're just, you know, you're Batman, you're going to do the right thing. You're probably going to try and cure him, and you have the one file, and you're in this one room, and you know the Joker's in there somewhere. somewhere, and Bruce is like calling out to him because he has the cure. He's finally going to make everything okay. And Joker jumps on you, stabs Batman. Bats drops the file thing. It shatters all over the ground, and Joker knows in that moment that he's doomed. And I love that they just ride it out, that they have the confidence to kill Joker. Again, we have to forget that after this, they didn't commit to any of this whatsoever. And Joker might as well have been alive in Arkham Knight, considering how much screen time he has. But at the end of Arkham City, when he's just lying there, and he's like dying or whatever, there's that whole file all over the ground, and Batman's saying, hey, look, after everything you've done, I would have saved you. After everything you've done in the city, all the people that you've killed, I still would have saved you. And Joker just looks up at him and says, you know what, that is pretty funny. And he dies that's just such a great exchange. That's the quintessential Batman-Joker relationship. Joker dies, Batman carries him out, shows him to all the GCPD, all the police officers in front of the building that they're in, and they end on it. They end on how the hell did they go forward from here? And sadly, like I said, they didn't stick with any of that, and it sucks, but it's a potentially great setup. And in the moment, I could not believe that's what they went with. I couldn't believe that Rocksteady, all the questions in the moment of just thinking, did Warner Brothers, they must have signed this off. How the hell do you sign off killing Joker? It was incredible. And so I like to think back to that time when we had Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Rocksteady's Batman was just the absolute best thing on earth. And that scene, for the exact way it plays out, is one of my favorite video game plot twists ever.
Hello everyone, Jules here. The thing is, when it came to video game plots that absolutely blew my eggy head, there were quite a few to choose from. I mean, I could have gone for Would You Kindly, the infamous moment from Bioshock 1, which was just pure chef's kiss. I could have gone for the moment where you get to meet the developers of Hotline Miami themselves, and by that point my brain was just like a pool of liquid. It was quite disturbing. But the one that I'm going to go for today is talking about Knights of the Old Republic and the moment where you are revealed to be Darth Revan. At that point, that was insane, because you were just like going through, just thinking, oh, I'm probably just the regular old chosen one, la-di-dee, la-di-da. But no, it turns out that you were the big bad before it all kicked off, and now you were given a second chance to choose the light side instead of the dark side. I mean, I didn't. Not in the slightest. Didn't even hesitate. Just pulled out the blasters and all the lightsabers, just took everyone down. But I was given the choice, and it blew my mind, because I was like, these people think I can change. I can't.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Now, if you want more chatty faces, why not watch through the rest of our playlist? But I just want to say a big thank you to the brilliant channel sponsors for voting on this week's chatty question. And if you want to join the vote, then why not consider hitting the join button and becoming a sponsor today? And we will see you next week. Bye!